Hello all. In today's video, we will see what is statistical inference. Statistical inference is the process of drawing conclusions about population parameters based on sample taken from the population. In previous video on sampling distribution and unbiased estimate, we had seen that since it is difficult or impractical to work with the population, we will take a random subset of the population, that is a sample, and calculate the statistic. Then we will use this statistic to calculate the parameter. Statistical inference has two important parts. First is the estimation and second is testing of hypothesis. Estimation is a process in which we select a random sample from a population and use a sample statistic to estimate a population parameter. Methods of estimation are method of maximum likelihood estimation. This is the most general method. Method of minimum variance, method of moments, method of least squares, method of minimum chi-square, method of inverse probability. Now coming to the testing of hypothesis. A test of a statistical hypothesis is a two-action decision problem after the experimental sample values have been obtained. The two actions being the acceptance or rejection of the hypothesis under consideration. First is formulating the null hypothesis and then formulating the alternative hypothesis. Most of the people find it difficult to formulate the null hypothesis, so I'll go very deliberately on this topic. Before I explain about the null hypothesis and alternate hypothesis, there is a very important principle that we should always abide by. Always remember that you as a statistician or decision maker should never be motivated by prospects of profit or loss incurred due to the acceptance or rejection of the hypothesis. A statistician or decision maker should be completely impartial and should not take a decision based on his personal views. He should have a neutral or null attitude. So let me revise testing of hypothesis once again. A test of a statistical hypothesis is a two-action decision problem after the experimental sample values have been obtained. The two actions being the acceptance or rejection of the hypothesis under consideration, formulating the null hypothesis and then formulating the alternative hypothesis. While formulating the null hypothesis, always remember that it is the assumption you are beginning with. It will be opposite of what you are testing. Suppose you are determining whether the effectiveness of one medicine is greater than the other. So your null hypothesis will be opposite of this testing. Okay, it states that there is no significant difference and it will always contain the equal to sign. And alternative hypothesis will be opposite of all this. It will be the claim that you are actually testing. It will always be opposite of the null hypothesis and it will never contain the equal to sign. Also remember that either the null hypothesis or the alternative hypothesis will be true. Both of them cannot be true at the same time. Let us take a small example. Suppose the battery produced by some standard manufacturing process has an average life of mu hours. It is proposed to test a new procedure for manufacturing the batteries. So as you can make out, there will be three assumptions that you can make in this particular case. First is that the new process is better than the standard process. The second is new process is inferior to the standard process. And third is there is no difference between the two processes. So now you have to formulate the null hypothesis. As we have discussed earlier, we should have a neutral or null attitude. The first two assumptions reflect a bias and we will outright reject them. Next is, we had seen that the null hypothesis states that there is no significant difference and will always contain the equal to sign. Hence our null hypothesis will be that the mean life of battery produced by the standard process is equal to the mean life of battery produced by the new process. This is the null hypothesis, and our alternative hypothesis will be opposite of this. So it will be that the mu is not equal to mu 0, that is the mean life of the battery produced by the standard process is not equal to the mean life of battery produced by the new process. I hope testing of hypothesis is clear now. We will again revisit this topic when we will be studying about inferential statistics. That's it for today. In the next lecture, we will study about sampling with and without replacement. Thank you.